11. Price it for the market, not the seller's mortgage. The Reynolds home has officially been on the market for 8 days. Sarah has had 23 showings, several second showings, and plenty of feedback. Buyers consistently like the remodeled kitchen, backyard, neighborhood, and floor plan. There's just one comment Sarah keeps hearing. We like the house, but the price feels high. The property is listed at $625,000, and Mike isn't interested in changing it. When Sarah calls to discuss the feedback, he tells her, we can't lower the price. We need $625,000 because we need enough money out of this house to buy the next one. This is where pricing conversations can become emotional. Mike's financial needs are absolutely important to Mike. Sarah should understand them because they may affect whether selling makes financial sense. But the amount Mike needs from the transaction does not independently establish what a buyer will pay for the property. The market doesn't know Mike's mortgage balance. Think about it this way. Suppose two identical homes sit next door to each other. One seller owes $150,000 on the mortgage. The other owes $500,000. Does that automatically mean the second home is worth $350,000 more? Of course not. Debt and market value are different concepts. This is why Sarah separates two conversations. What does the market information suggest about price, and what does the seller need to net from the transaction? A seller net sheet can help Mike and Jennifer estimate what may remain after items such as loan payoffs, brokerage compensation, title or escrow charges, taxes, agreed concessions, repairs, and other transaction expenses. But Sarah shouldn't work backward from Mike's desired net and call the resulting number market value. Sarah pulls out the comparative market analysis she prepared before taking the listing. A CMA is one of the tools real estate professionals commonly use to analyze the market. Sarah looks at relevant sales, current competition, property characteristics, location, condition, market activity, and other available information to help Mike and Jennifer make an informed pricing decision. But a CMA is not the same thing as an appraisal. That's an important distinction. Sarah shouldn't hand Mike a CMA and announce, I appraised your house at $610,000. An appraisal performed by a licensed or certified appraiser, particularly one ordered in connection with mortgage financing, has a different purpose, regulatory framework, and process. Sarah can still provide valuable market analysis. That's part of what an experienced listing agent brings to the table. The key is describing what she actually did accurately. Mike points toward the kitchen. But we spent almost $80,000 remodeling this house. That's another common pricing conversation. Money spent on an improvement doesn't automatically translate dollar for dollar into market value. A seller may spend $80,000 on a kitchen that buyers love, but that doesn't necessarily mean buyers will pay exactly $80,000 more for the home. The improvement may make the property more competitive. It may increase buyer interest. It may contribute to value. But the market ultimately determines how buyers respond to it. The same is true for pools, landscaping, solar systems, flooring, additions, and other improvements. Then Jennifer says, the house down the street sold for $640,000. Now we're getting somewhere. Sarah asks, which house? Jennifer shows her the property on her phone. At first glance, it looks like a great comparable. Same neighborhood, similar style, similar age. Then Sarah starts looking deeper. That home is approximately 350 square feet larger. It has a 3-car garage instead of 2. It backs to a greenbelt. It also has a pool. Is it still useful market information? Absolutely. Does its $640,000 sale price automatically mean the Reynolds home is worth $640,000? No. This is why a CMA requires more than opening the MLS and selecting the 3 highest sales in the neighborhood. The same problem occurs when agents use active listings as proof of value. An active seller can ask $675,000. That doesn't mean a buyer has agreed to pay $675,000. Active competition tells Sarah something about the choices buyers currently have, but asking price and closed sale price are not the same thing. Market conditions matter too. In a seller's market with limited inventory and strong demand, buyers may compete aggressively for well-positioned properties. In a market with greater inventory, buyers may have more choices and more negotiating leverage. Pricing strategy needs to respond to the market Sarah is working in, not the market the Reynolds remember from 3 years ago. Here's where listing agents can make another mistake. They tell a seller whatever price is necessary to get the listing. Imagine another agent had told Mike, your home is easily worth $675,000, even though the market information did not reasonably support that conclusion. Mike might hire that agent because he likes the number. 2 weeks later, the same agent begins asking for price reductions. That's not a pricing strategy. That's creating an expectation the agent may never have reasonably believed. Sarah's job is different. She gives Mike and Jennifer the information, explains what she sees, discusses the strengths and weaknesses of the property, and helps them understand buyer behavior. But remember something important. The seller ultimately decides the listing price. Sarah can recommend $610,000. Mike and Jennifer may still decide they want to list at $625,000. Sarah then has to decide, consistent with her brokerage policies and professional responsibilities, whether she is willing to accept and continue the listing under those terms. What she should not do is guarantee a result. No agent can promise that a particular listing price will produce a buyer. After 8 days of showings, Sarah now has something she didn't have at the listing appointment: actual market response. 23 buyers have walked through the home. Several liked it. None has written an offer. Multiple agents have independently commented on price. That's information. It doesn't automatically mean Sarah needs to reduce the price tomorrow, but it deserves a conversation. Sarah tells Mike, "I'm not asking you to lower the price because I want an easier sale. I'm showing you what buyers and competing properties are telling us." That's the difference between pressuring a seller and advising a client. Remember this broker tip. The seller chooses the listing price. Your job is to make sure the seller understands what the market information is saying. Mike finally asks, "Okay, show me exactly which homes you're comparing ours to." Perfect, because choosing the right comparables is where pricing analysis gets much more interesting. That's where we'll go in Section 10. Comps, CMAs, BPOs, and appraisals. They are not the same thing. Online discussion 1. Mike tells Sarah the home must sell for $625,000 because he needs a certain amount of money to purchase his next property. How should Sarah approach the conversation? Answer: Sarah should recognize that Mike's financial goals are important, but explain that the amount he needs to net does not independently determine market value. She can help the Reynolds estimate potential proceeds with a seller net sheet, while separately discussing market information, comparable properties, and buyer behavior, competition, property characteristics, and buyer activity that may influence pricing. 2. Jennifer argues that an $80,000 kitchen remodel should automatically increase the home's value by $80,000. Is that necessarily correct? Answer: no. The cost of an improvement and the amount the market attributes to that improvement are not necessarily equal. The remodel may improve the home's marketability and contribute to value, but buyer preferences, competing properties, location, condition, market conditions, and other factors influence how much the marketplace ultimately recognizes. 3. Sarah has received 23 showings but no offers, and several buyer agents have independently commented that the property feels overpriced. Why is that information useful? Answer: once a listing is exposed to the market, actual buyer activity and feedback provide additional information that was not available when the initial CMA was prepared. Sarah should communicate that information to the sellers and help them evaluate whether the current positioning remains effective. The feedback does not force the seller to reduce the price, but it is relevant to an informed pricing decision.